Have you ever heard that a goldfish has a memory that lasts only 3 seconds? Many of us have. We picture the little fish swimming around its bowl, rediscovering its world with every lap. It is a simple, charming idea. But, what if I told you it simply is not true? Goldfish can remember things for months. This is just one of many stories we tell about the animal kingdom. These tales are passed down from generation to generation, becoming part of our shared understanding. They are often so common that we never think to question them. These animal myths often begin from a small observation that is misunderstood. Someone sees a bat flying erratically at dusk and assumes it cannot see. Cartoons, films, books, the stories become so widespread that challenging them feels strange. But the natural world is far more complex and fascinating than these simple tales suggest. The real stories are often more surprising than the myths themselves. Why do these myths stick around for so long? They provide us with easy answers, which can be very comforting. But in doing so, they also create a barrier between us and the true nature of these creatures. To guide us on this expedition, we will use a simple and clear method. First, state the belief as it is commonly told. This is the hook, the familiar story you know. Next, present the proof. This is where we examine evidence. We will use simple facts, findings from scientific studies, observations from experts. This method shows exactly where the myth goes wrong and what the real story is. The goal isn't just to call a myth false, it's to understand why. Consider this an invitation to see the world with fresh eyes and a curious mind. A chance to question what we've taken for granted. Think of yourself as a detective of the natural world. Each myth is a case to be solved. The clues are in biology, zoology, and animal behavior. You don't need to be a scientist to join. Bring willingness to learn and an open mind. We will avoid complicated jargon. Focus on clear, simple explanations everyone can follow. Let us begin with one of the most common beliefs about our closest animal companions. The myth is this: dogs see the world only in black and white. We imagine them in a vintage film where everything is shades of gray. The vibrant red of a ball is lost. The green of the grass is lost. Many people choose dog toys in bright blue or yellow. This painted a limited, less vibrant world for dogs. But that long-held notion is simply not true. Dogs do not see the world in black and white. Their vision is different, but far from colorless. Scientists found dogs have 2 types of color-detecting cells or cones. Humans have 3. So dogs see a more limited range than we do. Think red-green color blind, not colorless. So what colors can dogs actually see? Centered around blue and yellow. They can distinguish these colors quite well. However, colors like red and green likely appear as shades of gray or brownish yellow. This is why a bright red toy on a green lawn might be difficult for a dog to spot. Agility trainers have also taken note of this. Blue paint on obstacles. Yellow paint on obstacles helps the dogs see the equipment more clearly. If the handler instead used a bright blue flag or wore a blue uniform, the dog could locate them much more easily from a distance. Let us turn our attention to another beloved pet, the enigmatic cat. The persistent myth. Cats are aloof, solitary, and only stick around for food. But that's a profound misunderstanding. Cats are more independent than dogs, yes, but far from unfeeling. They form deep social bonds. Cats have a complex, subtle social language humans often misread. Their wild ancestors, the African wildcat, were solitary hunters. The evidence is all around us if we know what to look for. Cats show affection in many ways. Rubbing against our legs to share their scent, purring when we pet them. One of the most telling signs is the slow blink. Slow blink, the cat kiss. A gesture of trust and relaxation. They feel safe and comfortable. A study in Current Biology, 2019, gave strong evidence of bonds with owners. Researchers led by Kristen Vitale at Oregon State ran an attachment-style experiment. The myth of the indifferent cat falls apart when we observe colonies of feral cats. While they hunt alone, they often form complex social groups. When a cat rubs its face on you, it is depositing pheromones from scent glands on its cheeks. This is a behavior known as bunting, and it is a way of marking you as part of its trusted social group. Consider the example of a cat bringing its owner a gift. In the wild, mother cats bring prey to their kittens to teach them how to hunt and eat. When your cat brings you its prey, it might be extending this teaching behavior to you. Few creatures of the night are as misunderstood as the bat. The most enduring myth about them is that they are blind. This gives rise to the old saying, blind as a bat. It fuels the idea that they are clumsy and dangerous, that they might accidentally fly into your hair. This image of a sightless animal navigating through some mysterious, chaotic process has made bats a symbol of darkness and fear for centuries. In reality, blind as a bat could not be more wrong. Not a single one of the over 1,400 species of bat is blind. In fact, all bats can see. Many have quite good eyesight. The myth likely arose because bats are nocturnal. They developed an extraordinary additional sense to navigate and hunt in complete darkness. This sense is called echolocation. Bats emit high-frequency sounds. They listen for echoes that bounce back from objects around them. This lets them map their surroundings, locating a tiny mosquito and a large tree branch. Echolocation isn't a replacement for sight. Many bats use both sight and sound to navigate. Fruit bats have very large eyes. They rely on vision to find fruit and flowers. Even echolocating bats use their eyes to see over long distances, to spot predators, or to navigate by landmarks under the dim light of the moon and stars. Their eyes are perfectly adapted for low-light conditions. They don't see color well, but they are highly sensitive to changes in light. As Merlin Tuttle often explains, far from being blind, bats have good vision, but at night, their ears are more important than their eyes. Bats are not blind, they are masters of the dark with an incredible sensory toolkit. Let us venture now to the sweeping savannas of Africa, home to the world's largest bird, the ostrich. There is a powerful and comical image that has followed this magnificent creature for centuries. The myth is that when an ostrich is scared or feels threatened, it buries its head in the sand, foolishly believing the danger cannot see it. This idea has become a popular metaphor for people who avoid their problems. However, this is pure fiction. An ostrich has never been observed burying its head in the sand to hide from a predator. Think about it biologically. It would suffocate with its head underground. The truth is a misunderstanding of a sensible behavior. They dig large, shallow nests in sandy soil. Parents will use their beak to carefully turn the eggs several times a day. When threatened, an ostrich often lies down, pressing its neck and head flat to the ground. Its sandy feathers help it blend in, looking like a lump or a bush from afar. If camouflage fails, the ostrich uses its legs. It can run up to 45 miles per hour and deliver a forward kick powerful enough to seriously injure or even kill a lion. Narrator. Our next stop is the familiar farmyard, home to an animal often unfairly maligned, the chicken. The pervasive myth is that chickens are unintelligent or bird-brained, that do little more than peck at the ground and cluck mindlessly. Narrator. This stereotype paints them as simple, instinct-driven animals without any capacity for complex thought, social structure, or problem-solving. Narrator. This reputation, however, could not be further from the truth. Modern scientific research has revealed that chickens are remarkably intelligent animals with surprising cognitive skills. Narrator. They can recognize and remember over 100 different faces, including those of other chickens and humans. They have a complex social hierarchy, often called a pecking order. Narrator. Chickens have been shown to understand that an object that is hidden from view still exists, a concept known as object permanence, which human babies do not develop until they are several months old. Narrator. They can also perform basic arithmetic, anticipate future events, even exhibit self-control. For example, in one study, chickens learned to wait for a larger food reward rather than immediately taking a smaller one. Narrator. Dr. Lori Marino, a neuroscientist who reviewed dozens of studies on chicken cognition, concluded that chickens have a sense of time, an ability to reason, can anticipate future events. She notes their communication is also incredibly complex, with at least 24 distinct vocalizations. Narrator: this is not the behavior of a dumb animal. The lesson here is that we have grossly underestimated the intelligence of chickens, which are actually clever, social, calculating creatures. Narrator: let us shrink down and enter the fascinating world of insects, where we encounter another well-known myth. The common belief is that if a bee stings you, it will always die as a result. Narrator: we often hear this as a reason to be careful around bees, a dramatic fact that highlights the severity of a sting. This idea creates a powerful image of a bee, making the ultimate sacrifice to defend its colony. Narrator: this myth, however, is only partially true and applies specifically to one type of bee, the honeybee. The world is home to over 20,000 different species of bees, and the vast majority of them can sting multiple times without any harm to themselves. Narrator: bumblebees, carpenter bees, many solitary bee species. Their stingers are smooth, like a needle, which allows them to sting an enemy and then retract the stinger to use it again if needed. Narrator: so why is it that honeybees die after stinging? The answer lies in the structure of their stinger. A honeybee's stinger is barbed with tiny sharp hooks lining its shaft. Narrator: when a honeybee stings a thick-skinned mammal like a human or a bear, these barbs get firmly lodged in the flesh. As the bee tries to pull away, the stinger is ripped from its abdomen, leading to its death within minutes. Narrator: this self-sacrificing mechanism is an incredibly effective defense for the colony, as the detached stinger continues to pump venom into the threat. This dramatic act of defense is reserved for protecting the hive from vertebrates. Narrator: interestingly, a honeybee can often sting other insects, such as a rival wasp or a bee from another colony, without dying. The smooth exoskeleton of another insect does not trap the barbs in the same way that elastic mammal skin does. Narrator: the crucial takeaway is that only honeybees die after stinging mammals, while most other bees and wasps can sting repeatedly without dying. Finally, let us address a myth that has been immortalized in countless cartoons and children's stories. The idea is simple and charming. Mice love cheese. This belief is so deeply embedded in our culture that cheese is the default bait we think of when we imagine catching a mouse. It portrays mice as having an irresistible craving for dairy. In reality, mice are not particularly fond of cheese, and they certainly do not prefer it over other foods. While a hungry mouse might nibble on a piece of cheese if it is the only food available, it is far from their favorite meal. Mice are primarily seed and grain eaters. Cereals, fruits, other plant-based materials. They are drawn to foods with a high sugar content. Given a choice, a mouse is much more likely to go for a piece of chocolate, a dab of peanut butter, or a sugary breakfast cereal than a lump of cheddar or Swiss cheese. The origin of this myth traces back centuries. Before modern refrigeration, grains were kept in sealed jars, and cured meats were hung from the ceiling. Large wheels of cheese, however, were often left to age on open shelves. This knowledge has very practical implications. If you are trying to trap a mouse humanely, using cheese as bait is one of the least effective choices you can make. Pest control experts recommend using sweet, strong-smelling foods. A small amount of peanut butter or a piece of chocolate attached to the trap's trigger is far more likely to be successful. It works because it appeals to the mouse's natural dietary preferences, not to a fictional craving created by cartoons. Let us now dive into the deep blue sea, an environment that holds some of our most mysterious and feared creatures. One of the most enduring myths from this realm concerns the shark. The belief is that sharks must constantly keep swimming to stay alive. If they stop, they will sink to the bottom or suffocate. This idea paints a picture of a relentless, tireless predator, an oceanic machine that never rests. This dramatic notion, however, is a vast oversimplification and is not true for all sharks. While it is correct that sharks are negatively buoyant, the breathing issue is more complex. The myth stems from a process called ram ventilation. Many species of shark are indeed obligate ram ventilators. Great white mako. This means they must swim forward with their mouths open to force oxygen-rich water over their gills. For these specific species, stopping would indeed be fatal, but they represent only a fraction of the more than 500 shark species that exist on our planet. The truth is that a great number of shark species have evolved a different method for breathing that does not require constant motion. This alternative method is called buccal pumping. They can actively pull water into their mouths and then flex their strong cheek muscles to pump it over their gills. This allows them to breathe while remaining completely still on the ocean floor. Species like nurse sharks, angel sharks, carpet sharks, wobbegongs are masters of buccal pumping. They are often found resting motionless on the seabed, conserving energy as they wait for prey. Dr. Stephen Kajiura, a shark expert at Florida Atlantic University, explains, "While some sharks must swim to breathe, many others have a built-in pump in their cheeks to move water over their gills." Now that we have dismantled the myth of the perpetually moving shark, we can appreciate the diversity of survival strategies. Nurse sharks are famous for this behavior. Divers often encounter them resting in groups under ledges, in underwater caves during the day. They lie completely still, using their powerful buccal muscles to pump water over their gills. This allows them to conserve precious energy, which they will need for hunting during the night. Imagine a group of nurse sharks piled on top of one another on the sandy bottom, looking for all the world like a heap of lazy underwater dogs. This sight reveals a calmer, more passive side to sharks that is rarely shown in popular media. Even some of the sharks that are obligate ram ventilators have found clever ways to get some rest. Scientists have observed reef sharks finding areas with strong underwater currents. They can be seen facing into the current, which naturally forces water over their gills without them having to swim forward. This is a bit like a person standing in a strong wind to feel the breeze. The science behind this is clear. Sharks have evolved different respiratory methods depending on their lifestyle and habitat. The crucial lesson is that the shark family is incredibly diverse, and we cannot apply the rules of one species to all of them. Let us now travel from the ocean depths to the vast arid deserts, home of the ship of the desert, the camel. A deeply ingrained myth about this remarkable animal is that its hump is a giant, fleshy water tank. We have all heard the story. A camel fills its hump with water before a long journey and then draws upon this internal reservoir to survive for weeks without drinking. This idea seems to make perfect sense. However, this popular belief is completely false. A camel's hump is not filled with water at all. It is a massive store of fat. A single hump on a dromedary camel can store up to 80 pounds of fat. This fat serves as a concentrated energy reserve. When food is scarce in the desert, the camel's body can metabolize this fat to get the nutrients and energy it needs to survive. As the fat is used up, the hump will shrink and can even flop over to one side. Once the camel is able to eat and rest again, the hump will gradually rebuild and become firm and upright once more. So, if the hump is not for water, how do camels survive so long without drinking? They have a whole suite of amazing physiological adaptations. Their red blood cells are oval-shaped, and they can drink over 30 gallons in just a few minutes. While the hump is not a water tank, it does indirectly help with water conservation. Storing fat in a hump on its back means the rest of the camel's body is very lean. This lack of insulating body fat helps the camel stay cooler. By concentrating the fat in one place, the hump acts like a sun shield, and the rest of the body can dissipate heat more effectively, which reduces water loss from sweating. The key takeaway is that a camel's hump stores fat for energy, not water for drinking. Returning to the ocean, we encounter the majestic whale, a creature whose haunting calls echo through the vast underwater world. A common and romantic idea is that whales sing their complex songs purely for enjoyment or artistic expression. We imagine them as the ocean's bards, composing beautiful melodies just for the fun of it. This myth anthropomorphizes them, turning their vocalizations into a form of entertainment. It is a lovely thought, suggesting creativity that resonates with our own human experience of music, but it overlooks the critical biological functions behind these sounds. In reality, these intricate songs are a vital form of communication with very specific purposes. While we cannot know for sure if whales experience joy from singing, scientists are confident the primary drivers are related to survival and reproduction. It is primarily the male humpback whales that sing these long, complex songs during the breeding season. The songs may serve to attract females, acting as an acoustic display of a male's fitness, much like the bright plumage of a male peacock. Furthermore, the songs may also be a way for males to compete with each other. By singing, a male whale can announce his presence, his location, perhaps his social status to other males in the area. The songs could be a way of establishing territory or dominance without resorting to physical confrontations. Researchers have noted that all the males in a single population sing the same song, but this song slowly evolves over the course of a breeding season. Occasionally, a completely new hit song will spread rapidly through the population. Dr. Ellen Garland, a marine biologist who has extensively studied humpback songs, has described this as one of the most striking examples of large-scale cultural transmission in a non-human animal. This is not random noise. It is structured, learned, and culturally significant communication. The lesson is that whale songs are not just for fun. They are a sophisticated tool for mating, competition, and cultural exchange in the deep sea. Our final myth takes us to the frozen landscapes of the Arctic, the home of the magnificent polar bear. The myth seems obvious. Polar bears have white fur, cornerstone of our image, white coat as perfect camouflage, snow, ice, stalking prey, universally accepted, rarely questioned, a white bear for a white world, adaptation through color. But the truth is a trick of physics and biology. Fur is not actually white. Each hair is hollow. Each hair is transparent. Fur looks white for the same reason snow does. When light hits the fur, light enters the hollow shafts. Light is scattered in all directions. All visible wavelengths are reflected back. Our brain perceives white. Structural coloration, not pigmentation. Underneath the fur, the skin is black. Structure serves more than camouflage. Hollow hairs trap air. Trapped air creates insulation, keeps the bear warm in icy water and frozen land. Some scientists have theorized the hairs channel UV to the skin, UV absorbed as heat. Fiber optic theory is debated, but it shows the coat's efficiency as a thermal regulator. This changes how we view adaptation, not just background matching, a sophisticated piece of biological engineering. As the U.S. National Park Service explains, polar bear fur is not actually white. It is transparent and hollow, which makes it look white because it scatters light. Key takeaway: fur equals transparent and hollow, appears white due to light scattering, provides camouflage and superior insulation. Throughout this journey, we have ventured from our homes to the deepest oceans and the most remote deserts, all to uncover the truth behind some of our most cherished animal myths. We began with the simple hook of a familiar story. The idea of a dog seeing only in black and white, or an ostrich burying its head in the sand. Then, using our hook-then-proof method, we gently peeled back the layers of fiction to reveal the fascinating science underneath. We saw that dogs live in a world of blues and yellows, that cats form deep and meaningful bonds, and that bats are far from blind, possessing the superpower of echolocation to navigate the night. We learned that the humble chicken possesses a surprising intelligence. These corrections are not just trivial facts to win a quiz night. They represent a fundamental shift in how we should perceive the creatures we share our planet with. The simple tales we tell often reduce animals to one-dimensional caricatures. The silly ostrich, the aloof cat, the relentless shark. The reality, however, is that these animals have evolved sophisticated strategies and behaviors. By dismantling these myths, we have hopefully opened a door to a deeper appreciation for the natural world. The hook-then-proof approach has shown us that questioning what we think we know can lead to incredible discoveries. How can we continue this journey of discovery in our daily lives? The key is to cultivate a spirit of curiosity and to become more careful observers of the world around us. We can start by actively questioning the dramatic or simplistic stories we hear about animals. One of the most powerful things you can do is to check information against a reliable source. Another wonderful tip is simply to watch animals more carefully and with an open mind. Whether it is your own pet, the birds in your garden, or the squirrels in a local park, take the time to observe their behavior without preconceived notions. Summarizing our exploration, we have seen time and again that the myths we hold about animals often obscure the magnificent reality of their existence. Correcting these misconceptions does more than just satisfy our curiosity. It fundamentally reshapes our relationship with the natural world. When we understand that a shark is not a relentless killing machine, but a diverse creature with moments of rest, our fear can begin to transform into respect. When we know that a chicken is an intelligent social animal, it becomes harder to view it as a mere commodity. The animal kingdom is not a static set of facts to be memorized, but a constantly unfolding story of evolution and adaptation, revealing new insights, challenging old ideas, painting an ever more detailed picture of life on Earth. Every animal, from the bee in the garden to the whale in the ocean, has a story that is far more extraordinary than any myth we could invent. Their lives are governed by biology, environment, and social dynamics that we are only just beginning to appreciate. They are not silly, simple, or one-dimensional. They are survivors, engineers, communicators, families. They navigate worlds of scent and sound that we can barely imagine. And they possess abilities that seem like superpowers to us. If there is one single, memorable takeaway from our entire expedition, let it be this: seek the truth about animals, for the truth inspires a respect that fiction never can. Respect is not born from fear or from silly stories, but from a genuine understanding of a creature's life, its struggles, and its brilliance. By choosing to learn and share the real stories of the animal kingdom, we not only enrich our own minds but also honor the creatures themselves. Let us move forward with open eyes and curious hearts, ready to appreciate the profound and wonderful truth of the living world around us.